How much money do you need to have and how much money do you need to make in order to get started at like an entry-level purchase in Manhattan?
An entry-level purchase depends on what you want to buy, but let's say you're trying to buy something for $1 million, right? If you're going to pay cash, you need to have $1 million. If you're going to get a loan, typically you'd want to put down at least 300 grand, right? If you can, right? So you're borrowing 70% of that purchase price. So that way you don't have to pay any type of private mortgage insurance, right? You want to be able to cover the monthlies. It's the monthlies that get you. It's not the purchase. You live in the monthly payment or you invest into the monthly payment. If you're going to have rentals that cover the cost, right? That's great. If you can make a return, that's great. But I think now the baseline, it's a little bit insane, especially for two people. I think you have to be earning somewhere around $250,000 to buy $1 million apartment in Manhattan, and if that's where you want to live.
Yeah, especially considering the HOA.
Yeah, the HOA, which are in New York City, they're called common charges, plus the real estate taxes, plus everything else. Like you just said, there's always something that comes up. The refrigerator breaks. It's 10 grand for a new refrigerator if you want a nice one. It's nuts.
Yeah, I was speaking to a friend of mine. He is renting a place in Manhattan and he wants to buy it from the seller.
Yep.
And the problem is that he needs to get approved, not only the financial getting approved from a lender, but also
board package.
He has to get approved by the local board
in
that
the building.
manages the building.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No.
Every residential building that you buy into, other than a townhouse, because you're buying the house, in New York City, if it's a condo, you have a condo board. And if it's a co-op, you have a co-op board. The co-op board can turn you down for anything, and they don't have to tell you why. They don't like the color of your eyes. You could have $100 million in the bank. We don't want you in our building. And they'll give you your money back, and the seller can no longer sell to you. That's a co-op board. A condo board can't do that. They have the right of first refusal. So if they turn down a purchaser who's verified and qualified, they don't have to sell to you, but then they do have to buy the apartment from the owner at the same exact price, which has happened a couple of times in history. But you do have to fill out a massive condo application. Oftentimes it's 2 years tax returns.
Whoa.
It's reference letters, both professional and personal, who's going to be there, their animals or their kids. It's a lot.
Now, is that because that one person could affect negatively the value for everyone else? Like if they're throwing parties with 20 people in there all the time?
100%.
Okay.
In part two, it's also, it's another form of checks and balances. Just remember, it's New York City, right? And everyone shares the same front door.
Mm.
You all have your own individual doors, but you all share the same front door. And so there's background checks, there's credit checks, and it doesn't often mean that the person's not going to be able to buy it, but it does create a barrier of entry that for someone who probably shouldn't be in the building or probably shouldn't buy it, they're not going to want to do that board package, so they just don't. In new construction, where you're buying from the developer, that's the one time you can buy an apartment building where you don't have to do that application process, but you do have to have the money.
The problem is that his is a co-op, and the seller, their hopeful seller, bought it during 2020 when rates were really low. And so I told my friend, I was like, dude, you should just try to do this sub 2, or you should try to do it like a seller finance. And then the seller was all down for that. But then the co-op they just don't allow it.
Yeah. And you can't, unfortunately, what would totally change the game is if you could assign residential interest rates the same way you can in commercial. In commercial, you can assign the rate. In residential, you can't. So that would be, that would change the game.
I always thought that you should be able to take your mortgage with you.
Yeah, you can't
you buy
do that.
something else.
No, they want that mortgage recording tax.
Of course.
Like in New York City, the mortgage recording tax is 2% of the loan.
It's 2%?
2% of the loan amount, 1.925% of the loan amount. So the right to get a loan in New York City, if you get a loan of $1 million, right, it's 20 grand at the closing table just to... What do you mean? It's New York City. Everything's taxed. It's just, and taxes are only going higher, man. Yeah. The mansion tax goes up to 4% in New York City now. In LA, it's intense too, right?
Yeah.
You got that luxury tax that I think over $5 million is 6%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Great politics.
Who
there
pays
too.
the transfer tax?
It depends. Typically, the standard rule of thumb is it's the seller. Mm-hmm. It's also just over 2%.
So the seller would pay 5%
fee.
in commissions or whatever, 5-6%.
And then they pay 2% in transfer.
Yes,
so
and then
7%.
potentially the mansion.
No, mansion's paid by the buyer.
Oh, okay.
Now, those are all...
But it's still taken out of the same pool of money that's being transacted.
Correct. But the oftentimes, sometimes, especially in tough markets, people will pay different parts of closing costs. Like if you buy new construction and the developer really wants to sell, they'll say, all right, so this is the price. I'll pay the transfer taxes at the developer. I'll pay your mansion tax. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll give you 6 months of common charges because it's all about the net price. And the buyer wants the absolute best deal possible. So sometimes, but because it's all about the net, the buyer is paying all the fees anyway. It's their money that they're giving in exchange for the apartment, right? Or the home that is then being used to pay all those fees. So it's just net.
Is that cost going to come down over time, do you think, with like ChatGPT and AI maybe taking over some of the real estate agent commission work? That maybe it's whittled down from 5% down to 2%. Or like you have an AI agent of some sort that does a deal on blockchain.
If you can find me a qualified person who, even with efficient work, will do it for 2%, by all means. And they've tried it. Every firm has come into the United States to try to create discount brokerage. Redfin collapsed, Purple Bricks collapsed, left the city. Like there's so many people have tried it, and it's absolutely possible. You can do it. The service is okay. But the best people work for the biggest incentives. And if there are marketplaces where sellers are willing to pay 5 or 6% or more to get the best people, that's where they're going to go. Compass was Urban Compass. They set out, they raised their first initial set of funding to break the brokerage system because they had neighborhood experts who were fee-based people, right? To create lower commission incentives on sellers, right? It was all fee-based. It was great. I'm not going to work for an hourly wage, right? I'd rather work for free with bigger opportunity. And consumers would rather pay nothing until the end.
So how often do you see it where a Zillow agent brings in a buyer to like a luxury building?
A lot. That's why Zillow makes all of their money. It's an agent at any other firm, but they're part of a Zillow program that's enabling them to get lead flow, right? And so we hustle to get listings all day long. Those listings syndicate out to Zillow. Zillow then takes those listings and sells the leads to those listings to other agents.
You know what I don't like is that on
and that's
Zillow,
what their class action lawsuit is about right now.
That's what I thought was ridiculous, is that on Zillow, it's like contact this property, but then the listing agent information is buried in a sea of text. And I remember recently a buddy was looking at a place in Vegas and says, hey, could you come with me and see this house? And so we pull up to this house and this dude shows up. And I'm thinking, is this the listing agent? This is a little weird. The guy just seemed a bit nice guy, just out of it a little bit. Anyway, he shows us through the house. And then at the very end, I say, is this the listing agent? She's like, no, I reached out on Zillow. I thought he was the listing agent.
Yeah.
I said, no, that dude was just a random guy that you reached out on Zillow.
And that's how they make their money.
Yes.
And if that deal goes through, Zillow tracks everything. They will find you in your coffin and they'll take somewhere between 35 and 40%.
Which I thought was crazy.
It's crazy.
I just reach out to the listing agent if you're going to be reaching out like that.
Yeah, but you got to know to do that. So the same way there was the commission class action lawsuit where all the big box brokerages had to fork over and it was a multi-billion-dollar settlement. At the end of the day, what it was really about was the unspoken standard where do you have to use an agent? No. But if the standard and all the training guides and the materials from all the huge firms are make sure the seller knows that the commission should be 5 or 6% and that the buyers can be represented by our own agents, even if they want to come direct, they should get 3 or 2.5%. The standard was such that the consumer had to be so overly educated about the process that they typically weren't, and it was costing them money, right? And so the court sided in favor of the consumers, which is what they'll typically do. Same thing for Zillow. You can find the listing agent. They're there, but it's not the standard operating procedure, right? You go on a website, you see a thing, you click on it, it says set up showing, I set up showing. I don't know that I'm going with somebody that doesn't represent the listing. That agent then goes there and they're the ones who are causing it to be a multiple fee situation. If you're just going directly to the listing agent say, oh, I've got a direct deal. Oh, you want to make an offer? Great. I'll go to my seller. Let me see. Oh, we have to bridge a gap. You know what? We're doing this. I'm a good person. And all of a sudden you got a deal done for less. So it's not necessarily the brokerages. A lot of it is from the aggregators who make tons and tons of money on listing commissions too.
Yeah. That's what Jack did. Can I say that?
Yeah.
On your when Jack sent me this warehouse, I said the first thing, if you're serious about it, go to the listing agent.
No, you didn't say that.
Oh, hot dog!
Go to the.
Give
Why did I
yourself
say that?
Because that's what I did for the past house that I bought.
Because I told you to do that.
Yeah, you told me to do it 5 years ago, and then I have since been doing that. When I find a property I'm interested in, I reach out to the listing agent.
Are you a serial flipper? What's going on over here?
No, I'm not a serial. Whoa! I'm not a serial flipper. Okay,
he's a serial buy and holder.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Okay, I look for deals and I try to get a good deal,
but got a great deal because you went to the listing agent. Now, I'm not saying in every situation you should always go to the listing agent, but when you're an experienced buyer and you know what you want,
you can negotiate by yourself. That's fine.
And it was interesting. I mean, her commission on my side was going to be like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And let's just say more than 20,000.
Yeah.
And then I asked her, I was like, you know what? Like the best I can do is like 7,500 if you're willing to do it. It's just some paperwork. And she's like, yeah, I think I could do that. And then 2 days passed, and then she contacts me again. She's like, hey, sorry, the brokerage, like they won't let me do it for this. I have to do it for $35,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, 35. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to hit up this other agent that I just had this agent's contact in my phone. I'm like, hey, can you just transact this property for me for 7,500? She said yes. I went back to the other agent. I'm like, I found someone else to do it for 7,500. And she's like, okay, I can do it for 7,500. And so it's like, for me in that
it's all a negotiation, but you know what you're doing.
It's all a negotiation for sure. But like something as simple as a few texts back and forth saved me like $20,000 on that
Good
deal.
move. Yeah, of course.
If you've ever been denied a car loan, credit card, or even an apartment because of what's on your credit report, you are not alone. Most people don't even know what's hurting their credit score, let alone how to fix it. That is exactly where our sponsor DisputeBeast comes in. It's an AI-powered platform that helps you find and remove outdated or inaccurate items from your credit report fast.
We're talking things like late payments, old accounts and collections, or even accounts that don't belong to you. Not to mention, how it works is super easy. You connect your credit report and DisputeBeast scans it for negative marks that could be dragging down your score. Then it generates custom dispute letters tailored for your situation. No templates and no guesswork.
You could choose to just download the data and send it to the agencies yourself, or you can use their built-in mail service where they will literally handle everything for you.
It's honestly just really clean and simple to use, and it's built by experts.
So if you're ready to take back control of your credit, go to disputebeast.com/ICH today. There's also a link down below in the description, disputebeast.com/ICH. Guys, they will literally handle everything for you. If you're dissatisfied with your credit, they will do all of the research, let you know what's going wrong, and they will fight for you. disputebeast.com/ICH. Thank you so much to DisputeBeast for sponsoring this clip.